Okay, so our next film that we're going to review is off of another list on there. We're just list happy. These are the buried treasured ones. So these are the ones you're going to have to write down, folks, and look and borrow or beg, do whatever you got to do to find a way of getting a copy of these films because they are tough to find. And this one is a documentary from the early mid-'80s called Streetwise, and it's a documentation of these street kids in the streets that live on the streets of Seattle. Terrible intro. But this film is probably one of the most powerful documentaries you will ever see. I'm going to use the word powerful because most people would see this film and find it absolutely, positively depressing as all get out. But it's because of its powerfulness that we feel that way. We feel very strongly about these characters, these people who are out on the streets, these young kids who have either left home on their, because the home life was so bad, or have gone out on home because of drug problems or whatever. And we follow these kids. We've seen kids out there, panhandling. Now we actually get to know them. We get to follow them around. And it's tough. I mean, that is tough. I had seen this film a long time ago, and when you gave me the list of films that, hey, why don't we, looking at these, I can get a hold of this. I remember this film. It stayed with me, and it was heartbreaking to sit and watch again because these kids hadn't changed, in terms of the film. I was revisiting, and it was just such a tough situation. It's a very emotional film.
Yes, it is. And it's really a crime that a film like this that won Best Documentary at the Academy Awards, so it's not like an obscure documentary that one person saw. Maybe it is, I don't know. But nevertheless, it did win an Academy Award for Best Documentary the year it came out. Is not available on DVD. We watched a VHS copy that we were lucky enough to be able to get from Willamette University here in town. And for you people who are Willamette students or staff or faculty there, you have the ability to see this fantastic film, which is a piece of cinematic history. The whole concept came from a woman who was a photographer who had done a series of photos for Life magazine. And the movie is based on that same series. It's the same sort of idea, but taking it past the photos and actually doing the kids that are living in downtown Seattle, their stories. And there are some really tough stories, and particularly the young girl in the movie, who I thought looked like a young Diane Lane a little bit, but she is a really tough one because she's someone that doesn't even really need to be on the street to a certain extent. I mean, she has a mother, she has a home. Some of these kids were kicked out or left because of abusive situations.
But is that because the cameras were there, Angela? I mean, you got to remember that mom was all nice and they were getting along. You got to remember the cameras are there. So
no, that's true.
It's if the cameras had stayed there, eventually we would have seen the real real
well,
story.
Who knows what was going on with her stepfather and all that? That's true. But it's really hard to just watch what happens to her and the young boy in the movie. So it's a really tough movie to watch. It's hard to recommend on that level. But, I think there's a lot of times there's a lot of judgment. And I've heard this even in Salem where we live here. I did a story back in the day when I worked at the local paper on some of the young kids that hang out in downtown Salem, some of whom panhandle, or used to near the bus mall. And there was a lot of judgment. A lot of people who said, would be very angry at them. And I would say to those people that they should watch this kind of movie. Because you don't know what a life is like until you've walked in someone else's shoes. And so I think this is an important movie, and I found it really riveting. I mean, it's not something you're going to be bored by, but it may be tough to watch.
Yes.
But, sometimes things that are necessary to watch are tough to watch.
I did a big disservice by saying depressing. It's haunting, is the word, really, that we would use, because, like I said, it's the one that has stuck with me. It's one that, I wanted to show my nephew the movie, and it was just like, no, let's leave the rose-colored glasses on for a few more years before you get, pulled down into the
Wait
reality
till
of
he's cynical and bitter like the rest of
But
us.
after you watch the film, the next time you see someone panhandling that's a kid, then you'll feel the true effects of the picture.
Yeah, you'll have a different perspective, that's for sure. And a lot of these documentaries, we've been reviewing some of these documentaries as part of the Buried Treasures. A lot of them are not on DVD. The other one about the woman conductor was another one. And it's just, I wish some company, Criterion Collection, whoever would put these out. So it's a shame. So anyway, that's a 4-star movie though. So easily. So we'll move on to our next movie, which is our viewer's pick. Where you, the viewer at home, yes, that's you, go onto our website at realfilmsnobs.com.
Or if you're the director of the movie.
And you can submit a pick. And this week's pick is picked by, not directed by, picked by Crystal Purdy. Thank you, Crystal, for submitting your pick. We had a little graphic error, but we'll see if we can correct it.
An error with the graphics, not a graphic error.
An error with
Sure,
the
yeah.
graphics. Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah.
And the movie is The Secret in Their Eyes, 2009. This was actually the Academy Award winner for that year, for last year, and it is about a retired legal counselor who decides to write a novel, hoping to find closure over an old murder case that he was involved with, and he's also hoping to find some closure with his former boss, who he still has unresolved feelings for. And it's an interesting movie because when this won the Oscar, it was very controversial because it wasn't as edgy as some of the other movies that were nominated. But I really enjoyed this film. It is a little bit like a little soap opera, but I really got involved in the characters, and I liked the main sort of romantic thing between the boss, and the man, and I thought that they had a really interesting dynamic, and the fact that he had held back all these years his feelings for her, it was pretty touching, I thought.
That's absolutely amazing. This film is absolutely riveting. It's a seamless film. It does a lot of things that usually films struggle with. The flashbacks, effortless. Absolutely effortless.
Yeah, which is hard to do,
They
like you said.
pertain to the story. They really propelled the story. It wasn't just all of a sudden you jolted out of it and gone back and go, oh, I want to stay. No, I mean, it continued to build. Even going back in time, it built. The chemistry between these two, the main actor and the woman, is absolutely
they're very good.
Fantastic.
You feel the heat when they're in the room together.
I absolutely love it. And when he says, oh, I remember the very first day of that case, and it's the first day that he met her, it was like, oh. And they don't point it out. There's just those little things, if you're watching, I love that. I love that. Just the little breadcrumbs here and there to keep you going and to keep you going. And then this case that they're going after it's told. It's very funny when they break into the house. I mean, that's really funny. It's riveting. It's just a beautiful romantic. This is just an absolutely fantastic film, and I'm really more surprised, not the fact that it won the Academy Award and that was a big controversy. I'm surprised that more people didn't know about this film. It's just an absolutely wonderful little gem.
Yeah, it didn't even open, did it? Or if it did, it was for a very short time. It was not very.
It opened this year, so it counts as this year.
It did?
Yeah, that's what I am counting.
2010?
Yeah,
You're counting
I'm
as making your
this
top
year.
10?
Yeah. Thus far, yeah. This is a 4-star film. Easily, it'll make my top 10 at this point. Just absolutely wonderful.
It is definitely a crowd pleaser. It offers a little something for everyone, I'd say, for sure. It's, like you just said, it's got the comedy, drama, romance. It's not boring. I mean, it just keeps moving right along. It's got a really intriguing little mystery, if you like mysteries. I mean, so there, and I didn't mention the photography, which is one of my things I always mention. It looked really good. I thought it was beautiful looking.
Those big, huge columns. No, I was more impressed with the makeup, because when they had to go back and forth 20 years.
Oh, and age them. It was very subtle aging, which is nice.
But no, that was good. It wasn't like they were wearing the big, pieces of veal slapped to their faces that you see in all the bad films. So, yeah, even that was, everything in this film just complemented the story.
Right.
And everybody was just absolutely fantastic. But I can't say enough about the chemistry between those two.
Right.
And I don't want to talk about that ending, but that ending, boy, oh, man. You sit at the end of a film sometimes and you go, if it ends and everything gets wrapped up, or if it's mushy, gosh, I want that to happen, but I gotta hold it against it if it did, and so you always have that conundrum.
So you thought the ending
when
was perfect?
I was completely happy with it, and it didn't matter to me by that time because I, had invested so much into it. So it's just an absolutely wonderful film. I can't thank Crystal enough there for submitting that one.
Yes, thank you, Crystal. We always appreciate good viewers' picks. And, more often than not, with very few exceptions, our viewers come through, which we really do appreciate.
Yep.
So we're wrapping up. And this week, gosh, good week. We've had lots of good movies to review, which is really nice. The nice thing about December.
Yes.
We reviewed The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, which we both can recommend. We reviewed Animal Kingdom, which we also both can recommend. And it just reopened here locally again for this weekend. Yeah, so go out and check it out in the theater. It's a good movie.
Yeah, check it out.
And God Created Woman, which we both can recommend. Bryan more so than me. Streetwise, which we say is a classic, if you can find it. And The Secret in Their Eyes. Thank you, Crystal, for recommending that. And you can check us out on our YouTube page, which is YouTube/Real Film Snobs. You can check us out on Facebook, Real Film Snobs. You can check us on Twitter, Real Film Snobs, realfilmsnobs.com. We'd like to thank our great crew, our fantastic sponsors, and we wish you a good day and great movies. Thank you.